Hi, it's Lynne with Soft Squares. I am standing in front of our next project. We are going to make gift bags out of fat quarters. We're going to make gift bags out of fat quarters, and this is a half of a yard, but all these others are fat quarter friendly. You can get 2 gift bags with 2 fat quarters and get these little teeny ones. They're so cute. They're like roughly 5 by 7, and they're boxed. This one right here is 1 fat quarter inside and outside. I guess I should explain this a little better. When I say 1 fat quarter, I'm talking about what you see on the outside. Okay, the inside is the exact same amount. So, and I've got coordinating fabrics on all of these. So 2 fat quarters with 2 different prints will make these 2 bags completely. You just have to get your interfacing and your thread, but that's all that you need for that. Same with this. I even used what little piece was left over from cutting up the fat quarter to make this little band on one of the bags. So that's why these look slightly different. This one right here is made from 2 fat quarters total. So 1 is on the outside, 1 is on the inside, and then I did take some extra fabric right here. It's about 9 inches, and I made a cuff, and it's super cute. It's just a little bit different style because it comes like this. It looks like a Santa hat. But what's left over, I used this stripe fabric on the inside of that one, and I had a little bit left over. So when I made this bag, which inside and outside, but I used yardage, so I cut an extra 2 inches for the strip, and then I used the leftover stripe fabric that I had. I could easily cut another 2-inch strip and get front and back of this bag. I just thought it was cute. I'll show you how I made them. There's no pattern, but I'm going to look, you see up close, these are actually boxed. So you see that? They are boxed. So there's a little stitch to help it hold its shape. There's the inside. They could be reversible. There's no open exposed seam. It's a little different. It's definitely cute and usable. So there that is, it's flipped around. So ta-da! I guess you could press it and get it to get its shape going that way. Anyway, this is this little snowflake print. I don't know if you can see that. So these bags, all of them are boxed. I have some boxes that I'm going to be giving someone for Christmas, and this is perfect because it's a tall box and it will fit in here. I made all these up, by the way, so that's why there's no pattern, but I think you can follow the instructions. But this one is actually probably the easiest one out of all of them. It has this cute cuff. There's the inside. And then I put the straps coming from here. So it's just a different placement for putting the straps in. But I think that is so cute. So I'm going to show you how to make these. They are so fun. They are a little time consuming. They're fun. And I hope you enjoy this tutorial on gift bags. You can use them for any occasion. We're just doing Christmas ones. This right here is Shape Flex. It's by Pellon. It says all-purpose woven fuse interfacing. This is like fabric. I mean, it's like super soft, but it has a teeny tiny bit of the bumps because that's where the glue is to press it. But it's like muslin with some little glue dots. Fold my fabric like this before I cut it. Okay, so this obviously has a direction, and we're going to cut it like this. And these boxes were 8.5 by 9, and I ended up using everything except for a little piece of the focal fabric because I used the others in the straps. So I'm going to keep it the same. So 8.5 by 9. So that means 8.5 this way and 9 this way. Now I'm going to start here and work my way that way. So I'm going to cut off the selvage. And the reason for that is because I will have more fabric in the end as a wider piece because it's on the fold. Okay. Now from here, we're going to go across 8.5. And actually, I'm going to make it even easier on myself. I'm going to fold it in half. 8.5 over. Make sure everything is squared up. Okay, so this is my leftover fabric. I'm going to use this for my straps, and this will be leftover. I'll come back to this. Okay, so now we want to cut these in half. Okay, so now I've got 1 and 2 complete sets for little bags. Okay, so we're going to put this to the side, and we're going to come back to this piece. Now I want 2 strips at 1.5 inches to make the little handles right here. You could choose to make them bigger. In fact, there's enough wiggle room with this fabric right here. You could do that because this fabric, whole piece right here, is 2.5 inches. You could leave it that full size, which means when you fold it in half and then fold it over, your straps are like that, just a tiny bit bigger. You might prefer that because the bags are small and keeping everything small. And I'm just gonna cheat again. Cutting 1.5 inches from the side. And this is actually my leftover, which on the other set, I put this right here. I made it be a cuff on one of the bags. So I actually did not have any leftover because of doing it with the little cuff. Now we're gonna go to, each set's gonna have one of these, and then we're gonna put the pellon in, fold it, and then sew it down, and then cut it in half, and you'll have 2 9-inch pieces, which are your straps. So 1.5 by 9 inch are your straps, and you need 2 per bag. So there it is. There's your usable handle. Now we're going to the pellon. Okay. One goes there, one goes to my other one. Now we need 4 pieces of pellon, 1 for each side of this, and then I have the 2 sets that I'm making. Okay, so here's one set. Here's my other set. Just gonna work on one at a time. Here's my leftover. That could turn into a cuff. Now I'm going to press the bubble side, the bumpy side. You can barely feel it, to the back side of these, and I don't know if it's even going to show up on the camera here. There's a itty bitty bump. You could fuse your fabric before you cut it. Okay, so now we're going to do this also, and I'm just going to center it in the middle, sticky side down, and it's a little longer than I need it to be. I would recommend cutting it off before you start ironing, or you're going to get stuck to something you don't want. What I'm going to do first is fold it in half, press it, come over here and take your 2 outer edges and come in. Now, the way that this is working out for me, I'm actually liking this. The last pieces when I did on here, they were actually scraps as well, and they were a little smaller than this. And I was able to fold them all the way in and fourths really well. But here, the edge of that is real close. And honestly, it'll give me a little wider of a strap. And that's provided I've centered it on here right. And just pair my sets up. If you got a direction, make sure your direction's going the right way. And we're gonna go all the way down and around. How I'm gonna remedy that. So this one is however you want, but leave a 3-inch gap somewhere. So on one of mine, I did it down here, and on another one, I did mine over here. I personally like the one on the side. So just leave a gap so you can turn everything inside out, and you want it to be hidden. How I turned it inside out, boxed the corners, and made it so it's a little square bag, and attached the handles. Okay, so after we get this, we're going to take our 2 pieces, front sides and our back sides. This one I just put a little cuff on it because I felt like it. Anyway, you're going to use your regular 3/8 of an inch foot, go down and across all the way. Do not leave any openings except this. And when you're done, cut this corner off. Okay, and there is the front of the bag. Now, you're going to do the same thing to the inside. Now, once we're to this point, we're going to box the corners. And you want to put your finger down there. And you know how when you nest seams, you get them going opposite directions? Do you see how I'm doing that here? And I'm nesting them. I'm feeling them really close to there. Feels snug. I have this little ruler. You can use whatever you want, but this is awesome because it is little. And all you need is to go up 1.5 inches and across by 3. So what I do is I come over here and I'm really looking at the 3-inch mark, and from 2 to 5 is 3. But how do I know if I'm going the right direction or going straight? Well, you want to put one of these seams of the ruler right on the seam, the sewing seam, because you know that's the middle and it's going straight. So if I do this and do this, there's my 5 inches. And what I'm noticing, oh, there it is on the middle. You want all 4 corners, meaning the top and the bottom, to be the same. So it actually is a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and then it's just like an extra quarter. I'm not so worried about this. I want these to be the same over here. So I've got my 3-inch going, draw a line, do it to the other side, and I'm going to pin this because I worked so hard to get it in the right spot. Having that light interfacing in there will make a difference. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make sure that, see how this bottom seam is going this way? We're going to keep it that way. So when we open it up, we don't have any twists. Okay, so do that same thing again. Whatever way you press, just have it, the whole bottom going the same way and the other side the opposite direction. Let's see. There we go. And the nice thing about this nesting and being able to do that is it's going to be really hard to not be straight. Okay, so we go from the 2 to the 5. Again, it's just 3 inches-ish. Put that line right on the middle. As long as my line is straight, and that's in about the same amount, we are good. Again, I'm going to pin this. Okay. Now you don't have to do this next step. I just feel impelled to do it right now. You can press these seams open before you get to this point down here. I am leaving them. However, I want to make sure that they can lay flat, or as flat as can be. So I'm just kind of finger pressing it, and my iron went cold. But I'll show you what we do next. You take it to the sewing machine and you sew right on that line, and then you're going to cut it at the 1/4 inch. So I've already sewn this one. This is the lining. And I'm just cutting it off. Now this is the lining part. So the difference is you're going to leave about a 3-inch hole on the side. I did that on my other one. I put it in the bottom and you can see it down in there. I don't really like it in the middle, but you could do it in the middle. I did a 3-inch spot in the middle. This time I'm going to put it on the side, which I think will be more hidden and even a little more secure. Okay, so let's sew this one. Okay, now we've got this one. Got little corner pieces. Don't need them. So this is the outside of my bag. This is the inside of my bag. And right now we're going to make it so they're all inside out. So there's that. So that means this needs to be right side out. Does that make sense? Because when you put it together, you're going to have the out or the wrong side facing out on both top and bottom. For some reason, I'm not. Just to make sure everything's lined up where it should be. The main thing is this right here. Now, I didn't do enough planning on this one, but if you do it right, you can get your seams up here going opposite directions. I do not have that happening. I am going to twist it, which is what I was hoping to avoid, so that these seams will nest, and that will make life so much easier. So pay attention to that when you're choosing which way to press your seams when you're doing your boxing. One thing I am doing is I am what will be the outside print, keeping that so it looks the flattest. So if there's a twist that is noticeable, it'll be on the lining. And by the way, these will be reversible. So even though I'm calling it the lining, it still could be the outside, because the way we're doing it, it will be reversible. Okay, so now after that, we're going to take our Toodles straps, which I used with a fabric. This is what's left over from our fat quarter, okay, and 9 inches. I folded them in half, folded them again. I put a little bit of light stabilizer only on half of it, so it's not 4 layers, it's just 2 layers, if that makes sense. And I've stitched a really scant stitch, you can barely see it, and that's the goal. So now I've got 2 of these, and really it was easier to make one big long one and then cut it in half. Whatever works for you. So now we're going to attach our handles. Just make both of your handles the same. Okay, so in my case, I'm putting it like this. Okay. And what I did on this bag, and I'm going to be consistent on this, you can do whatever measurement you want, but I went 3 inches from here, or sorry, 2.5 inches, and I put my handle. Now right now I'm just kind of sitting it there so I don't get it twisted or lose the end, and then I'm going to measure it and move it exactly where I need it to be. So going back to my little ruler again, I'm going from the actual seam itself, 2.5. Let's get the right direction. There. 2.5. Oh, look at that. I am like right there. So now I know I can pin the back piece on, because I have that where I want it to be. At least I think I do. Let me double check it now. Yep. And then the same goes for this one. 2.5 is here. I guess I kind of can do 2.5 on my own, huh? Make them as straight as you can. And then you want to mirror image that on the side, the other side. So you want to measure, but the goal is you want them to look the same when you get your bag together. So whether you put them farther apart or closer together, whatever you do, make both sides be the same. Okay, so here we go like this. Now I'm going to go around this using a 3/8 of an inch seam. Okay. There is the bag. Now we need to turn it right side out, which is why we have a hole in the lining. There. Now I'm using a really, really lightweight fusible pell-on. I would not recommend doing anything really stiff as you're interfacing, because you would not be able to do this part. And it seems to stand really well with what I'm using here. Okay, so now we're going to close this little guy up. You can hand stitch it, but I don't do that. I'm going to machine stitch it. Next, I'm going to do a itty bitty little stitch across the top, because I like little stitches. So it'll look like this. And then I'm going to come down again, and I'm actually going to stitch in the ditch on this. On this one, I came down and just did the width of the foot. Give it a nice little double stitching, and that actually helps to hold, keep it from turning inside out and holding the handles in place. This one, I didn't put the handles down enough that it's going to matter to catch it down there. Still going to reinforce it really good here, but it's going to look really cute to have that little ditch there. So I went around the top, and then I went around and did a stitch in the ditch, but I couldn't really see it and I didn't like it. So I went ahead and also moved up, so I was barely stitching on this, so it really looks like it's equal on both sides. It was just what made me happy. Now on the inside you can barely see it, but there's 2 rows of stitching in there. Barely, one in the ditch and one up on it. I would have not done the ditch one at all had I realized it just wouldn't have even shown up. Okay, now the bag can be done if you like it like this. You can leave it. But if you want it to be more boxy like this one, I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to make sure everything is lining up really good inside, and we're going to press it. Now remember, this is a 3-inch seam to make it a box seam. So I'm going to get my little ruler again, which I keep misplacing every time I put it down. There it is. So I want to go 1.5 inches out. And see, there's 1.5 inches, and there's where that corner is. I want to do look at the same up here. 1.5 inches to this, and fold it. Then you're going to make a crease all the way down here and press it. And you want to get all the layers of fabric in there, so the inside and the outside in there, and then just press it. This is where the interfacing is really going to make things look magical. Look at that. Do the same over here. Now I've got some boxy sides, and I'm going to do the same down here. Okay, you could even call this good, because now it has a little more of a box shape. This one, I'm going to go further and make it look like this one. So this one, when you take your creases, you're going to do that itty bitty little stitching, work your way up, and then when you get to the edge, instead of just knotting it there, go over it and then back stitch a little bit and then knot it off back here. And I did that on 3 of the 4 sides here, and I think this is the one I didn't. and it looks so much better because then you have a clean up at the top without little threads hanging because they're farther down. So I'm going to go to the machine. Oh, and you do want to catch the lining in that if you can. Now I'm going to show you in here. Now let's back up a little bit. This is reversible. See, it looks like that, right? When you turn it inside out, this is how it can be used. This is why I don't really like that there. Anyway, see how I was able to catch that little seam in those corners? And this one right here, it actually kind of missed it. It might have caught some threads on the back side. You can still see that it should be there, but it didn't go all the way through. Same with this one. But in general, you're gonna try to catch all those. And that's what the inside's gonna look like, and it's gonna keep it from separating. Okay, and there's our inside, and here's our seam here on the side instead of in the middle. It's not as noticeable when you look down in the bag as it is over here, but I guess you have to really be looking for it anyway. So there are my two little bags. One is a cuff, one doesn't. Other than that, they are the same, other than the position of their print, but aren't those cute? What I'm doing is I'm putting a cuff on this bag because I really wanted to do what I could with a fat quarter, but I didn't feel that the bag was big enough. So in addition to the two fat quarters, you're going to want a little bit of extra as an accent. And in this case, I'm using white. It kind of looks like a snowman hat or a Santa hat. And so what I'm doing is, it's a little bit different construction than the other one. Oh, by the way, this is one big piece. There's no direction on the print, so I did not need to just put a seam in it. So you can make either bag the same way. But now I've got my bag, I've got my straps put together. This time I'm using a 2-inch strap with a 1-inch piece of the pellon. And you saw how I pressed it. I just centered that pellon in the middle, folded it in, so there's only 2 layers of pellon in there instead of 4, like the 4 layers of fabric. So it's nice but not super stiff. And I'm going to do what I did before, where I make sure my straps are facing whatever direction I want, but they're both the same. In my case, I've got my seams facing out. And I'm still going to box these. Okay, so this is going to be my strap, and I have from here to here will be the front of the bag. And I need it to be supportive, so I'm going to actually put these probably out like this. Just watch what I'm doing. I know it doesn't make sense just yet. So I've got that. Now I'm going to take this and open it up and put it right here. So when I sew that in, the straps are going to come from a little lower. Okay, and then this guy right here is the inside piece. I'm going to put it right here and attach it. I am not putting handles on this side, but I am going to do the same size of a seam. Okay, so I have one very long big piece. Okay, and then down here, I'm going to attach the handles, but put this piece on instead. Now, taking this, like the last time, I'm going to open this up. So the print, because it is a white on white snowflake print. So I've got, again, 6-inch piece of fabric, 5-inch piece of Pellon, centered in the middle. Gonna do a little over 1/2 inch of a seam right here, and that's to get those handles really well. Okay, now pins. I need the straight pins. That was really helpful last time. Just to keep them. Sometimes they'll shift a little bit, and that's just not good, especially when you're sewing it in. All right, sew it. So we are going to actually do this, leaving a big hole in the middle. This will be our turn hole. I have a tube, and I have an opening here on the inside. So this is the lining. This is the lining, okay? So now I need to open everything this way and stitch all the way down both sides. And then I will turn it inside out through this hole. Make sure your ties are not going to get zipped up. I'm quite anxious to see how this is going to work. You do want to do your best to match up your side seams, because that will be very noticeable. You are going to have to deal with the fact that everything is pressing into the body, and it's going to be a little thicker there, and that's okay. It's going to help with the reinforcement of the handles when we do that top stitch. So for now, just going to clip these. Let me get these guys out of the way. I'm going to kind of roll them up and pin them so that they are not anywhere near the sides, because I am going to try to box the corners. Okay, just straight down each side. We are going to box the corners. I want a 4-inch side, which means 4-inch down here. Now I don't have, let me just press this because that will help me. I don't have a seam down here to match everything up. So I'm going to box my corners by taking this seam and lining it with that, but this is where you have to make sure you really are square. A little harder to do it this way than on the smaller bags. Okay, so there's that line, there's this line. Everybody should be together. Let's see what happens. And if I can box this guy. I'm so excited. I really think this is happening. Something fun's happening here. Okay, so 4 inches. So just like the other one, I'm not even worried about how far up I come. I just want to make sure that I'm straight front and back, the seam. And I don't know what you can see. I'm sorry if it's 4 inches. So from here to here. And then I want to make sure that my seam is straight. See, it's not. So this line needs to go on the seam. Whatever it is, it needs to be relative and running parallel to that. That way you know you are going the right direction. And by golly, we did it. Let's go to the other side. I'm going to take a chance and cut these corners. I guess you could say I'm feeling confident and I don't want to turn it inside out a couple times. So, living life dangerously. I'm so excited. Seriously, so excited. Okay, where did it go? Now this is the last time I'm going to see the inside of this bag. And I'm going to do a top stitch on the outside that will hold all this down. This might be a good time to consider a zigzag stitch to keep this from fraying. I think I'm going to do that. I would recommend doing this step before doing the side seams, that way you can go all the way over. But the reason I wanted it here, and I'm more concerned about it there than anywhere else, is this is white and I don't want the threads to somehow work their way into that, because it's going to be see-through. You're going to see it. Okay, so moment of truth. My corners for the inside all the way down there, and ideally this pressing seam right here should be on the very top. Now we still have this, it's opening, and I'm gonna press it, which will make it easier to catch it when I'm closing it up. Yeah, that looks good. And so I can find it, I am putting pins up here. I don't want to go hunting for it later. Okay. It's kind of a little bag. It's still cute, but it's a little bag. It could be a gift bag, it could be a purse. I am going to stitch down and make it hold its shape, and then it has the handles from above, or from part way down. Okay, now it can stand on its own, and I want to see what it looks like inside out, because it was really looking good on both sides until I did this, and this looks good, and it makes it a square thing. However, because of the technique, it doesn't always grab the fabric underneath, even though I want it to. So I don't know if turning it inside out is still going to be boxy looking. I guess we'll find out. It probably still will be. Kind of hit and miss in some of the spots. Looks like the same corner on both sides. Kind of interesting. But that's what it looks like inside out. And there's no exposed seams. So I think this is cute. I think this is cute. This is gonna make you go blind. All right, so now I still have the extra little pieces. So I'm wondering if I should do a bow with it or if I should just save it, because they're the right size for handles, but I could make straps the same size right here. And then, or I can even, there's two of these, right? Make this big and fluffy. Big and fluffy. Anyway, so it's big, and then make a bow. And then have it hang. I'm gonna put you with my other little guys. So this one's finished size is 9 by 10.5 by 4. I want to point out this bag right here takes a ½ yard of fabric for each color. You've got the inside and the outside. This is still fat quarter friendly. If you want to use 2 different fat quarters on the front and the back, just remember there's a seam on the side, so that's where you'll see the 2 colors come together. And then you'll do the same on the inside, but they are all reversible. But they're meant to be gift bags, but they're actually kind of could be a grocery bag. They can be anything you want them to be. But that's, if you want to, you could put a pocket in it. Do that before you assemble it. So, this one doesn't stand up. It is so tall, but it still has a lot of good body to it. This one probably could use a little more interfacing if it's something that you wanted to have stand up, because like these will stand. I'm going to show you how to cut your fabric out of a fat quarter. I'm showing you this bag because this is what's left over from the fat quarter, and I just decided to incorporate it into one of the bags when I was making my sets here. So this one has it, this one does not, which I also thought was a cute way to maybe make some distinction, even though their prints are different. But if you end up giving them to the same person or to 2 different people that will see each other, there is a distinction between their bags. So these bags are really, really good. Hold that thought. These bags, specifically these little ones, are great if you have like a secret Santa, neighbors, a close group of friends, a game group, church, work, anything, teachers that you just need a small something. These are sure cute. You could fill it with things and seems like it's a really big deal even if there's not a whole lot in it. You can even just put a bag of cookies and put it in a self-contained bag, but then put it inside. And especially since these have pictures of cookies, that's why I'm thinking of cookies. Hot chocolate mix. Oh, look how cute that would be. That has hot cocoa. These are actually the same print, by the way. You could just see this a little easier, or I can see it easier. But wouldn't that be cute? Put a mug in there and some coffee or hot cocoa and make it as a gift all in one. I have now got some ideas for how I want to use these. I'm going to keep making these because these are so much fun. Please tell me what you think about them, and I would love your feedback. Thanks, guys. And that's it for today's tutorial on making gift bags out of fat quarters. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. I've got 4 different sizes. Okay, 4 different bags. The intent, so, but if you can want to blah, 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 blah.